This area is our transportation section. This is a very important, again, part of our museum where we deal with the transportation within the county. We have many items here starting all the way from the early covered wagon days all the way through to when the railroads came in and the coal mining came about in the 1900s, started about 1830 and went very active right after the war, all the way through until about 1932. This area right here depicts White County. It's one of the projects that we're most proud of and probably one of the longest in development. This is being constructed by the Crossville Railroad Club members, and it depicts everything from the very beginnings of the county with Rock Island and goes all the way up to the plateau region where the coal mines were. The railroad that you see going around depicts the early railroad that brought coal from down on up on the plateau all the way down to Tullahoma. The railroad was owned by the Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis. Part of this railroad still in existence as now known as the Caney Fork and Western. We have depicted many of the historic buildings that are on this layout. This is a model of the courthouse that you saw pictures of earlier, and that has become a real center point again for the community to come in and look at the courthouse because it brings back so many memories. As in many other counties in Tennessee, agriculture was a mainstay for making a living for years. Tobacco was a very big product in this region. Many of the early settlers found it grew very well. The early Indians even were growing tobacco here. But now that has changed over the years to really now we do mainly a lot of livestock, and the region has a number of farms that raise livestock, as well as some in the past dairy farms. Agriculture still is an important aspect in White County. The climate is excellent. In fact, McMinnville, which is very close to Sparta, is probably the world's center for nurseries. And so we have, because of the plateau and the flatland, an ideal climate for growing many, many various products. As I mentioned before, education has been very important to the White County Heritage Museum. Part of the original founding members that we were speaking of earlier with the Bicentennial Committee were made up of retired teachers within the region who saw the importance of their heritage being protected here. Because of that, and with our relationship with the school system here, we have a section on education where we have many, many pictures of the early days of education in White County. It's interesting to see how many people now come in and enjoy finding their second, third, and fourth, fifth grade pictures here displayed, as well as some of their early school books. In addition, we have one of the largest collections of the Sparta Warrior, which is the local yearbook for our high school here. And we happen to have the original first edition of the yearbook going back to the early 1900s. The retired school teachers have a display here, which they have been very good in helping us record the history of White County. One of their projects that we have all the information on is the location of all the old schools that we had seen earlier on the quilt. They have gone out and put signs up throughout the county where they were actually located. And we have books here that are available that will give you the history of every one of those schools. So if you come into White County and see the brown signs throughout the county and wonder, well, what school was there? If you come here to our museum, you can see the book and you can purchase a copy of that book that will give you the entire history of every one of these schools located within the county. This is our revolving display area. We have many different programs throughout the year that we develop new displays in. We have many of our items that, due to our square footage here, are in storage, and then we revolve them within the year of different programs. One of the things we have today is the Boy Scout, Girl Scout display, and we have many of the scout troops come in and look at the past history of this fine organizations within White County. Many of the people, as this outfit was Pinky Hill, who was a longtime leader in here, and they enjoy remembering when they were in the Scouts and wearing these uniforms, going to Pinky's house and having their meetings, as well as the Cub Scouts, who are over depicted here in many of their activities. We have worked very closely with both groups today, and will continue so. Later on this year, we'll have an early kitchen being displayed in this region, as is one of the ones we just recently did was a back porch that showed how the early settlers made soap and how they were able to do some of their cooking, and we had that in this region. So we'll be changing this as time goes. We have a very large air show coming up, and during that time that the air show is going on, we will have an air show in this area that will show the early heritage of White County and some of the things that happened here that applied to the air activities within White County. So I hope you'll come here and see some of this.